So this is our carpet area. So this is the space where we have circle time. We also do what I like to call carpet time, which is where we do our theme and our focus question for the week. So this is where a lot of stuff happens. It also is where we come and kind of connect after each section of our day to kind of go over our schedule and what comes next and then go on from there. So a little bit about this space. So we have cars and trucks interest area in this space, which normally is covered by a divider. We have our jobs and all of the AM students that are doing those jobs, and then all of the PM students that are doing those jobs. So some of the jobs I have in my classroom, we have the flag helper who does the Pledge of Allegiance. We have the greeter who chooses one of our 4 greetings and goes around and says hello to all of the students and assistants. We have the weather helper who goes, checks the weather, comes back and reports to us. We have our schedule helper. A lot of my students love the schedule, so it's very important in my classroom to go over it every day. We have a countdown manager, so I actually got a really great resource from 2 Peas in a Primary Pod for counting down to special occasions. This is the first year I'm going to try this, so that countdown manager will be in charge of the countdown. A question of the day person will go over our question of the day and count how many people voted for each thing in that question. I'll show you that later. We have an interest area helper who reads off the names for our interest areas, so we have all of our names here, and when a student wants to go to an interest area, they bring their name, they check into the area by putting their name on the mat. You can see right under here where the names go. So the interest area helper just calls out these names. We also have a light helper who turns the lights on and off, and of course we have a few substitutes in case kids are absent. So right here we have what interest areas are open. So this is where I display what areas of our classroom will be open during interest areas, which is basically like centers. Here we have cleanup routines. Some of my students have a hard time with cleaning up, so this just explains the routine. That's from Pocket of Preschool. This beautiful bench was actually made for me from one of my students' dads, and it just has our Give Me 5 rules. So legs are crossed, hands are still, ears are listening, eyes are watching, and lips are zipped. That was a free resource I got on Teachers Pay Teachers. We have our little stool right here so students can get up on the bench. And the bench was really because the smartboard is too tall and my students couldn't reach it. So the bench has really been helpful. Over here we have some stickers. I do a sticker system in my room, which I'll explain in a different video, but we always have stickers around the classroom. Obviously a million pointers for the smartboard. Here's where I display our anchor chart for the week. All of my anchor chart materials came from 2 Peas in a Primary Pod. They have anchor chart resources for all of the creative curriculum units, so I have that. Then of course we have our classroom rules, our schedule, small groups, like what kids are in each group, computer. These are just draws for materials for the anchor charts. This is the countdown resource I was talking about from 2 Peas in a Primary Pod. Can't get it back in here. And then up here we have our theme, our focus question, and our question of the day. That is a resource in my TPT store for every single creative curriculum unit. I sell also a big bundle of all of those. And for the question of the day, I just use a dry erase marker because it changes every day. And then here, so if this was a question that involved 2 different answers, I would have the 2 different answers here, and my students would put their pictures under here. And then the student that is the question of the day helper, they would get to count the students on each side, and we would compare what number is bigger. Then lastly, over here we have our schedule. Again, this is very important in my classroom. My students depend on seeing the schedule all the time. So we have our extra schedule cards up here, and then we have our schedule here, and my assistants change this. Once the AM students leave, my assistants change it for the afternoon class. So that's a little bit about the carpet area. Of course, our carpet is massive, and it can fit all 12 students, and the students sit on the X's. One of my students actually sits on that ball as well, because that's what he needs. So that's our carpet area.